Good morning. How was your morning? Looks like it's an exciting, innovating morning for the second day has a lot in store. So my topic would talk about igniting and innovating the ecosystem within the 21st century approach. Are you ready? You're not ready. Are you ready? You're still not ready. Are you ready? That's the spirit. So before I lead you through the core of my presentation, which talks about ecosystem, let me draw you to the realities that is happening around the world today. Sorry. Okay. So, how many of you here says there are no social issues around? There are. It's just like saying how many of you here do not encounter problems with money? We're just too righteous to say you're perfect, right? So the realities of today just obviously shows that there is a social issue. But let's define what a social issue could be. Because your personal issue, you might bring it out in the open, forgetting that you're adding to the social issue. So a social issue is a problem that influences a large number of individuals within a society. Hope we don't get to be the root of any social issue. Because cases are, it starts with one problem, unresolved, and gets over until it becomes a social issue. And it has many categories in depth as well as light. The social issues are distinguished from economic issues. However, they have some both social and economic aspects. But I'm not going to talk deeper on that. But I just wanted to show, what do you think would be the number one social issue we have today? Anybody? Number one social issue in the world today. Oh, you're having your advocacies, right? What's your number one advocacy? You think you created because there's a social issue involved in it. What is the social issue you think is number one today? Poverty? Mr. Chairman, climate change? Communication? So many social issues, but I just want to drive a study from the millennials. The first time I met the CEO of Funfair Global, I began to look into the generational aspect of life. And so, Vincent, I made my own research about what are the top 10 social issues millennials saw that was brought about when they woke up in their generation. And number one is climate change. They didn't talk about unemployment. They didn't ever even talk about economic growth on their end. So it's climate change, followed by they see large-scale conflict, inequality, and they see poverty as number 4. They see poverty as number 4. And because they believe that poverty stems from people are destroying what's around us. And government accountability, food and water, lack of education, safety and security, lack of economic opportunity, and employment. Hindi na ito. At my generation, employment was very, very crucial to my life. But the future generations don't look at employment at all. They're not in the top rank. Now, talking about ecosystem, how many of you here understands what ecosystem means? You answer me, I do. Okay? How many of you here understands what ecosystem means? I do. Oh, I only hear few voices. There's 100 people in this room. There should be a resounding 100 voices. If you do understand. But if you don't, you just say, I do. A little bit. How many of you here understands what an ecosystem is? Very good. So that ends my topic. Well, to create an ecosystem is to enable an environment. Because the moment you cannot enable an environment, you're not creating an ecosystem. But mind you, ecosystem can be very tricky. You might be creating an environment that's giving an ecosystem of people destroying each other. Would you agree? You might be creating an ecosystem of wrong people trying to destroy the world. So our goal, collectively, is to create an ecosystem where we enable, the call of action is, we enable an environment for love. Where when we are faced with challenges, we go back to the root and say we face this with love. Because if you face it with hate, it's not going to work. It's going to work differently, and it's not going to help the world. Now, the realities that we are going to focus is on the ecosystem of the donors and the ecosystem of the donees, which are the beneficiaries. Where in the Philippines, we could have a relationship, but we still have to create strongly what could be the relationship of the both. Like when a lot of donors or funding agencies, you don't get to meet the real donors. And beneficiaries also that I know are feeling that they are less because they received, which is not. Never ever think you are. I know a sister, every time a donor comes to her orphanage, she screams and like as if she was tense. Because a donor is here, no. It doesn't mean that because she's a donor, you are already a slave. No. Everybody has its own role. And what kind of environment do we want to create? Now, I will focus my topic on 4 things. Number 1, to build the ecosystem, there has to be an infrastructure. I'll discuss that later. Second, you have to build your philanthropy support ecosystem. Third is that it has to be the right ecosystem for you. Because you have to assess, if somebody tells you this, and that person never even heard about philanthropy, what right those people have to do with you? Have the right information. And that's what we will talk about, talking of proper ecosystem. And last, we will end with a new paradigm of collaboration within the field and a strategic approach of those who are supporting its development to ensure that there is efficiency and there is sustainability. Now, there is no single recipe at all building a philanthropy support ecosystem, but it has to start to be driven locally. You can't just go global without having to look at where you are. A lot of people fly too high and nobody's following. Then it's not going to work in a right ecosystem. Even if it were more developed, if the infrastructure also is not still in place, then it's still not going to work. But how many of you here believe, you answer me, I do again, that the church has already an ecosystem? You do believe that the church has its proper ecosystem? Oh my God, there's a big challenge here. The church has an ecosystem, agree? The church has the proper ecosystem, agree? I do, a little bit. I hope after this we can do something even more. Now, this calls for a new paradigm, really. So first, let's begin with infrastructure. What is an infrastructure? Infrastructure is crucial, very crucial, in the development of philanthropy, both quantitatively and qualitatively. Because it doesn't only serve donors, but it also generates new resources and will lead donors towards the best use of these resources. The ecosystem that I'm talking about is what the infrastructure is. But let's review what is the definition of an ecosystem. Let's go to the literal side of it. It consists of a community of organisms together with physical environment. It can be different sizes. It can be marine. It can be aquatic. Broad categories of terrestrial ecosystems are called biospheres. In ecosystems, both matter and energy are conserved. Energy flows through the system, it usually from light to heat, while matter is recycled. And ecosystems with higher biodiversity tend to be more stable, with greater reinforcement and resilience in the face of disturbances and disruptive events. If people stop you from doing what you need to do in philanthropy, think of the children you're serving. Don't think of them. Your beneficiaries are waiting. Your leadership your leadership does not have the right to hold the blessings to go to the children. If the infrastructure is still not in place, then innovate and do something with it. An ecosystem approach is required when problems are so complex. If social issues come along. That's why it's no longer I, but we. It's no longer Clarician, Vincentian, Augustinian, but mission. Sabi pa nga, organized charity. Tama ba? Ako, Father Mario. There is an increasing recognition among philanthropists that they cannot address deep-seated social issues or tackle societal change in their own, and so increasingly recognize that they need to work on this. Now, I want you to look at this video and see for yourself what's the effect of ecosystem around us by the simple things we do in this world.
One day, we will wake up to find that the energy that powers the alarm clock came from the breeze through the trees the night before. And we will go to work that morning riding the rays of the sun. It will light our cities and power our businesses. It will warm our homes and cool our workplaces. It will reduce sources of conflict and fuel our economies. It will connect us all. It won't scar the land or poison the seas. The food we eat will be good for our bodies and good for the planet. And the weather that day won't make us worry for tomorrow. There will be more jobs and less disease. The sea level will stop rising. And species will stop dying. The question is, how do we get to that day from where we are today? All 7.3 billion of us. We start by deciding that beyond our doubts and differences, such a day truly exists. And that is something each of us can do today. We can make today the day we stop thinking that the changes required to get there are impossible and beyond us, and start realizing that they are not only possible, but what the future requires of us. We must stop turning from the warnings of science and fear and denial, and instead turn toward the solutions and partnerships we need. We can make today the day we stop pointing at each other in blame, and instead chart a new course together. We have never faced a crisis this big, but we have never had a better opportunity to solve it. We have everything we need to wake up to a different kind of world. We need our leaders to be brave and their choices to be bold. They will either remember us as the generation that destroyed its home or the one that finally came to respect it. We have every reason in the world to act. We can't wait until tomorrow. This is our only home. You can choose today to make a world of difference.
Wow. When I saw that video, I said it was our future to where we are. Maybe the things we're doing now we can't witness, but the children and our children's children we owe to the future that we're experiencing now, that our past generations have done. I think I won't close my eyes if God will still give me this chance to enable an environment for everybody to put our hands together and say, let's not pinpoint to who's wrong, but let's gain from our strength. And let's learn from our weaknesses. As we humble ourselves, that we can't do it alone. And it brought me to this guy named Ross Ashby. He was a cyberneticist. And he has a law, he said, the law of requisite variety. This states that to deal properly with the diversity of problems the world throws at you, you need to have a repertoire of responses, not just one. Because one response may not work. Don't ever say, I'm the only one who could save the world. No, because your response is dependent on the people who's going to receive it. You may be the best psychologist, but if you don't touch the generation of where that patient comes from, you're still not going to solve the psychology problem. You still need a pool of very good psychologists around you to be able to get you to where you are. And so I did more about what is this law. I need to understand deeper about this law. And it talks about cybernetics. And I said, what is cybernetics? Anybody knows what cybernetics is? What is cybernetics? It's a study of a relationship between a machine and a human being. And that's where we are now. It was this years ago that came back to the virtual reality that implies that the control of a system is proportional to the amount of information that is available. And if you look at the ecosystem, try to ask yourself, is my own ecosystem an ecosystem of good? Or am I a hindrance to the goodness that the ecosystem that I could have would be because I put negativity on it? Catriona says, silver lining. In the midst of Tondo, I see silver lining. That's what I see. Personally, when I encounter challenges with leaders, I see beyond. I look beyond. I go back to the ultimate vision of where is the ending of this. And if there's a way to enable, do it. Don't delay. Solve it. If there's a way to be able to, why? We need an ecosystem of good, not an ecosystem of destruction. There's too much destruction around the world. Stop pinpointing people who are doing good. Stop even questioning innovations of people who are doing good. Because at least there are. At least there are. So in the ecosystem of good, there are people, and people cannot live as people. You need to belong to an organization. Because if not, nothing can be accomplished if we don't have an organization too. And at the same time, we have to belong to a community. If we bring us out broken, we will not be able to compete with solving the social issues around us. And this ecosystem of good is a collaborative system, meaning understand your strength. Work where your strength could lead the world into a better place. Don't work on saying, I'm much better than the other. Because I'm good, you're not. Because I have much and you don't have. And what if you don't have really much and you belong to the ecosystem? We pull you up. We care for you. We care for each other. It doesn't matter if you have or you don't have. But to those who have, share. For those who do not have, learn. And humble. That hindi, wala, I don't have. So then it creates a social impact. And the social impact will create into what you call a network. So powerful. How many of you here, you answer me, I do again, saw the vast scale of people doing networking? Yung mga multi-level networking. Yes, you've seen them grow? Oh, I said there's an answer. I do, right? So the phenomenon that happens in the value of the system increases if people are using the system. System of the church, system of whatever you want to install. And let me give you an example of Facebook. Facebook is an infrastructure, and it has been designed because it is designed to collaborate. Now, if you use Facebook, if you were the only person using Facebook, would you think you would value it? Even if you do selfie, you still want to show your face. And if your face doesn't look like nice, you want to erase it and don't post it. Why? You're not there to look at your own post. The value comes from the fact that almost everyone knows you're there. I think that's the point of some people. You want to tell people, I ate this. You want to tell people, I've been there. Or maybe you want to tell people, we can do this. Or you want to destroy this person's not good. Could be good and bad. That could happen. But now, we want to translate this idea into an ecosystem of good. And the more network and connected organizations and individual change agents become, the more value others get from joining that ecosystem. But Mark Zuckerberg is also purified because he was hit wrongly by the focus of those people who destroyed the ecosystem by using it for terrorists, maybe, or informations, or getting photos that are not supposed to be. Because probably the enabling of the environment wasn't perfect. It came to a point that it has to undergo this. But Facebook was so strong to say, we're focused to enable an environment. We believe this vision went through. That's why Facebook is still up until now. So basically, as an ecosystem, it grows, it gets better, it becomes more valuable, and it becomes more powerful, that is, more able to respond to challenges in the world more efficiently. Because if you create something in your own organization and nobody's participating, do innovate until everybody gets to participate. Sometimes it takes longer, but sometimes it may take it easier. It depends on how you enable the environment. And technology, for one, as an infrastructure, would do a lot of things. Like, what if we used the power of the cloud to truly connect people? If technology not only connected us anytime, any place, but helped us uncover solutions to the challenges we face, have we tried to uncover solutions because of technology as an infrastructure? What if within seconds of a major natural disaster, the ecosystem could identify a need for a specific medical supply or find inventory at medical supply and has the capacity to transport it right away because we are connected and we know who's needing and we know that we have resources to come in? What if technology activated volunteers to work on site? You had a problem on this, some people has to. What if the system could identify within moments of disaster which organizations were best positioned to lead on various parts of the recovery effort and connected them when disasters would come? In the height of Yolanda, that was the bulk of the opportunity of our country to connect to philanthropy around the world. We were promoted by CNN, but it was a sad promotion because many people died. But can we innovate? That CNN can promote us because there's impact to what we're doing even before these people becomes victim or we become victims of things that we didn't plan ahead. So that people around the world could make a donation to a general fund from their mobile device that would probably be funneled to the point of highest impact. Think about what's your best strategy now. And if you don't innovate and the world is changing, and you still love your children in your orphanage, you still love the seminarians to not get discouraged, you still love to build house for the homeless, and you're called for this work, then let's move forward and stop questioning, will it work? Is there donors? I don't think there's donors. You're not going to have a room for this. Because as Bishop Rene has said, trust. And the song has said, you know better than I. You brought us here. It's not by accident. Not so many people are called in philanthropy work. And I thank God for the rest of my life that He gave me a career, more than just a career, that I can say, even to my last breath, I could probably speak about philanthropy. And ecosystem of good has the potential to solve new problems in revolutionary ways, if it is an ecosystem of good. But if it is an ecosystem of bad, it could also destroy. If people are destroying philanthropy, you're destroying the world. You're destroying the landscape of Philippines in the context of philanthropy. The issue of Napoles hit us on, actually, in the philanthropy world, when people realized that our NGOs are not real. It was hard for me to justify talking to people who knew about it. And our ecosystem of good in the infrastructure could change how we give, how we act, how organizations work together, and could exponentially increase the results that we seek. And technology can create unprecedented network effect that builds a better world, and it fuels your ecosystem. If you build your ecosystem and you have 1 million parishioners and you don't use technology, it will take time for you to evangelize. And the technology is the phone already. You can just click to the phone and say, God be with you. And so that's the infrastructure. My question, do you have the infrastructure? You answer me with only those two words, because we will marry each other after. Do you have the infrastructure in place? I think I need a lot of courtship here. Do you have the infrastructure in place? Do you have the ecosystem? Yes, I do. But the infrastructure, I do, maybe, I thought, I don't know. So let's try to discover even more. But do we have the technology? What's our connected technology? The phone. How do we connect each other? Facebook, Messenger. It could tell you, you arrived at the airport. It could take a photo, I'm standing here, where is my driver? And you can tell me, connect me to Grab. I just had an experience when the delegates came and everybody was confused where to go. And I said, okay, I'll get you a Grab. I can get a Grab for someone who's in the airport. If I just have to make sure he comes in. And if you're hungry, you can grab and say, deliver food to my home. So don't ever tell people, I did not eat yet. Because there's no more reason. If you want to buy something, there's a lot to solve. But don't focus on the problem. Let's focus on the solution. Number 2, if you don't have an infrastructure, you need to have one. Vincent will have an infrastructure that he will talk about after my talk. But if you don't have one, go back to your ecosystem. Is it an ecosystem of good? I know it is. But in the church, there's a lot of persecutions. Those who are doing innovations are those that are persecuted. And those that are persecuted sometimes give up easily if you don't have a strong ecosystem as ours. We're not also stupid to just create this organization without having a purpose. And anything that you do good, do last. It may have challenges, but it does last. And second is philanthropy support ecosystem. Do you have a philanthropy support ecosystem? You might be associated with so many people who are not even convinced that there are donors. So why stick to them? They have to magnet to you. After all, if it's going to destroy your direction, educate them. You get what I mean? When I coined to try to promote the word philanthropy 10 years ago, people were saying, Glens, that's too much of a word. Let's use giving. Or let's use stewardship. And I said, when will we ever have to try to learn to coin the word philanthropy? There's nothing wrong with it. And the philanthropy support system says to build a philanthropy support ecosystem that has to be locally driven and based on the needs of philanthropy and civil society actors in their specific context. Now, there are 4 components for you to really strongly say you belong already, or you have already a support ecosystem. You have the knowledge, the giving system, the nonprofit management and reporting system, and the evaluation system. Now let's talk about the philanthropy knowledge system. Do you have the philanthropy support ecosystem that will provide you with the right knowledge? Right knowledge. Yes or no? I said only answer 2 words. Wala magyapon. I want it louder. Please, only an hour for that. Do you have a philanthropy knowledge system? Very good. Now, yeah. So, the theoretical repositionary of pertinent data, expert information, expert opinions, not gossips. Biases of experience in the past doesn't really conclude a fact unless it's a research and objective data, right, Dr. Rob? I have a very good researchers here, so I have to make it right. And when Dr. Rob came in the picture, I said the Lord sent us a good knowledge center because he's an experienced researcher. And I said we need to have the right information. Don't just believe on people who are not in the field. You don't ask medicine to somebody who's not a doctor. So get where the experience is. Second, do you have Do you have a giving system? How can you promote philanthropy that you don't even have a system of giving? Even in your own community, you keep taking, you don't give. Because I don't think I have much, Glens. I have much? You know, you have to start doing the giving. And giving doesn't mean money. It's giving your time. It's giving your all. It's giving what you think could be a contribution to the table. Because that is a giving system. And you have to have a complex network of donors in the field of philanthropy, trustees, advisors, online transaction services. People say, hey, we're not getting anything. I tried to email and I didn't get any funding. You didn't even provide any online service. How can they donate? Stop making conclusions wrongly because it doesn't lead us to anywhere. So I learned always that when I make my judgments, if there is, I am able to see that the process leads me there. And even if it is not me, anybody who sees the process will say, yes, this is where it has to lead. And do you have a nonprofit reporting management system? Do you have the process, setting, planning, performance, tracking? That's what we do in philanthropy development. That's what we're trying to put you on. to have a tracking system. And yet, people don't want to follow. Or maybe they do, but say, later, I still have to do a lot of things, Glens. Maybe later. And then when later comes, maybe a little later again. And I said, Lord, can you just lead me to those people who will say, let's do this and let's do it right away. I learned that from Vincent. Time is essential. Glenda, when you say 1 week, 1 week. And then he will tell me, Glenda, I will be Singaporean to you. I'll be Filipino to you. Peace. Hi, Vincent. Yeah, I learned about this with him. That's why I was just like, yeah, we have to change the way we're doing with deadlines. What we can do today, let's do today. Let's not do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's going to solve another problem. If there's time, be more productive. And the nonprofit ecosystem evaluation also refers to the network of auditors, regulators, experts, information, websites. You know what? Evaluation also comes by showing what you're doing. You don't just get money and don't tell people that I receive it so that people will still know I haven't received anything. That's not going to be. Father Greg was mentioning donors give to successful organizations. Track records. Gone are the days that you'll tell your orphanage, in their orphanage, your children, when your donors come, don't take a bath. Let them feel you're smelly. Let them feel no. Let them feel you're okay. Even the beds has to be the best beds for them. So evaluation can be very innovative. Evaluation doesn't have to be a piece of paper. Gone are the days it's going to be a piece of paper. It's actual work, actual things that we do together. And now let's magnify donors and donees to look at funders, look out. This is my question then. How far have you identified your own ecosystem? What's your farthest? As far as your eyes can see? As far as where you are being led? That's why I encourage all directors of philanthropy to have your Google dreams, Amazon dreams. Identify where your ecosystem is. Identify the impact of where you are trying to help. You're not just going to coin it smaller. After all, He is ultimately our God. He can do things as much. How have you built that ecosystem if you have identified them? And if you do have built them, how have you strengthened them? And where are you in the 3 stages? Now, you need to have a strong ecosystem of support. And the ecosystem of support stems from, if you're there, whether you're identifying, some people don't say, I don't want to work in an ecosystem. But that's where the world is taking us. It's just like you're telling me, I don't want to use a cell phone. And then forget it. If you don't have a cell phone, you're not going to go anywhere. You need it. So these are what identifies whether you have you have built or you have strengthened. Your ecosystem should accelerate your growth and should be a catalyst of your impact. If it doesn't accelerate your growth, do something. Go back. Do something what has to be done. You need to have a data to build transparency and informed decisions. When you say informed decisions, tell all the people in your organization what you're doing. Don't make them guess. You're traveling around the world. You're just spending. Oh, I see you already. Because when you do travel for philanthropy, and the moment you arrive, you take the photo of where you're going, doing shopping, obviously you're communicating to them that sometimes we need to be prudent at all with the way we're doing things. And you have a very strong ecosystem if your advocacy has enabled the environment. I've always been trying to pray harder that I can be a catalyst to enable an environment that's full of love. Because I believe when we love each other, we can do so much. And you have to have an environment that has a campaign to grow a culture of giving. You need to create that culture. If you started a culture that's destroying, change it. It's hard, but at least you're doing something to change it. Have a technology that links the donors and the recipients. Donors can see. And advice and capacity building make better use of existing resources. Have a space for donors coordination. And do standards that build trust within the society. If people don't trust you, do something to make them change the way they judged you. This ecosystem, for me, is a grace. And there's no other way in my heart and the board, is looking at to nurture what this grace could lead us to have a better and common philanthropy. There are a lot of sustainability challenges. There are big gaps. There will be mushroom fields of several ecosystems, but we are a work in progress. And restrictions would have impaired the civil society. The scale, severity, and complexity of problems still call for an increased collaboration. And donors don't want to give to one. Gone are the days that you tell me, Glenda, I'm going to keep myself, and I'm going to say, I don't want to let my donors come in the picture. Because donors don't want to give to one. Donors want to give to an ecosystem when they see collaboration. And that's what we want to promote. With the global challenges and the SDGs ahead, what's SDG? What's SDG? Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. It's becoming critical to leverage domestic resources and unlock the huge potential. To unlock the huge potential and play a critical role to what is available. So there is a need for development. Not because Spring Rain says, put up a PDO. No, even if we're not there, think about development. The first reason is because we have to become organized, because we're not. We have common interests, but we're not organized. We need to have emerging markets, and we need to expose ourselves to what are the varied support services that are needed. And the numerical growth of philanthropy has been accompanied by a concomitant growth in the complexity of institutions such that hybridity is fast approaching beyond norm. What's the norm? Grant proposals. But it's not going to work that way anymore. Not just settle for grant proposals and say, I wait for Miserior to fund me. And there's so many, like, a lot of documents there in Miserior. How do you think you could be extremely different? But I put myself in and I said, well, if you want to fund my ecosystem, there's so much that we can do together if we are forming as one team. And the value is, it has to be an ecosystem approach. Infrastructure will provide a necessary support system that will amplify our effectiveness as to the work that we are doing. And when you do create to strengthen, it should start from the community level first. Start with your own community. And then go to the area, go national, and go global. Don't go global because you'll be traveling globally alone. You'll be so inspired with the part of the ecosystem, but when you go home, I feel so alone, Glenda. I'm the only one left. Nobody believed in me. And so therefore, I will not perform. No. Later on, you will bring the people along. When Dr. Turing mentioned to me that they had a dream to put up a school, and they shared to the mayor, I suppose, that we're going to have a school here, and if you're not going to put the road well, how will the children cross? And even before the school was made, I think the road was already done. This couple, can you stand up? Oh, Doctor and Doctor. Yeah, they're the owner of Indiana University Aerospace. We will have our own charter plane, huh? Sorry. So they started to build a community at community level. They've been starting, but they started doing that. Don't rush too long. Baka you might be moving too fast. Okay, that's the second. Philanthropy support ecosystem. Third, Do you have the proper ecosystem to share your victories or to even share your challenges? Do you have? Do you have? Well, isa lang ang ma-marry sa Spring Rain, ani. Do you have? Oh, some of you don't have. We still have a lot of courtships to do here. Now, find the network of the ecosystem you want to belong. They will find you, you will find them. Maybe you'll keep asking, why am I here? Do I need to travel to Malaysia? Do I need to be representing my own department? Why am I here? So maybe because there were reasons that you need to be here for one mind, one heart, and one mission. And Spring Rain Global, I would put that as an example, is creating what you call, tama ba to, Father Lucas? Philanthropy ecosystem builder. Because we want to make you enable an environment that it can be done. With a visionary chairman like Father Victor, I have to catch his vision. Because he thinks so fast too. You just think I am? No, he also does. And my board. And this is our ecosystem. And I would like to copy the slide. Ginawa daw niya ito for us. She made this for us. Tama, Clay? So the ecosystem that we are connected. Ayan. And our goal is to create PDOs. Because if it's hard for you to do by yourself, it might be easier to do it together. We will not judge situations. Some may fail, some may not. But always remember, we're not here for ourselves. We're here for the poor people. We're here for the video that sana, one day, when we go to heaven, we will say, the Lord says, you did that when you did your ecosystem. See the children, right? So it's creating PDOs and, sorry. Yeah, it's creating PDOs. Lolo. Okay. Up. Oh, and done. A PDO is a philanthropic development office we consider as the basic unit of the ecosystem where we professionalize the direct linkage between donors and beneficiaries. It will institutionalize and create transparency, good stewardship of resources, monitor impact of their programs, create advocacy impact so that in the holistic part of it, it's not just only about the money, but it's also the stewardship of the utilization of this money that is supporting the mission of these charities. We are also trying to build an ecosystem of different philanthropic development offices because it is only in the ecosystem that we will be able to sustain our growth together.
We see that this PDO thing, this whole ecosystem, social commerce, and crypto philanthropy is the best way forward towards sustainability. Not only for the foundation itself, but also for the beneficiaries who eventually be the ones to receive whatever benefits that the foundation will be receiving. And of course, ultimately, the other PDOs also all over the country.
It has helped us to identify our funding needs, especially for the sick, with the help and guidance that they are giving. Our ministry to the sick is now more organized, more efficient, and systematic.
They have been doing their best to assist us and to work from where we are so that we could truly function as such.
One thing that Spring Rain was able to help us and has been going on until now is really connecting a lot of people, and not only here in the Philippines but also in abroad.
They have given us the right mindset, the skill set, and the tool set that we need in order to establish our office and to raise funds for our apostolate in education?
It was very chaotic before Spring Rain. We were just scrambling and trying to figure things out. Where Spring Rain came and gave us the technology on how to run it properly. We had departments, roles, and it was an organized machine where it's just like a business or any entity that it would function on its own. Even if one person's not there or the president is not there, the foundation is constantly moving and functioning.
For the new PDOs, the resources that you have will be maximized because of the system that Spring Rain will teach you and will share with you.
The system has helped us how to pool resources, how to manage the fund, how also to manage our advocacies, our activities and program, how to sustain it, and plans are being done for its continuity.
I would like to invite you to engage with Spring Rain and help the people, your community, more with the system.
Without the system, it will block succession. If you have the right skillful people without the system, then it cannot sustain long enough. If you have a system without the right people, then you miss the opportunity of maximizing the whole process. There's a lot of donor fatigue that is happening right now. And it's not because they don't want to give. It's about being annoyed by the manner of asking. It's actually the manner of the way we are communicating with the donor.
The perennial problem that we have been encountering is the problem of sustainability. Partly because we haven't nourished and nurtured relationships with our different benefactors all these years. That's why I see the great potential that once we are able to connect and to nurture our relationship with our donors and eventually make their donation, make their giving more of a happy experience, then probably things will be better. So that it doesn't become a linear type of relationship, but it becomes a mutual kind of relationship. When the donor gives, he is happy. He is happy because he was able to give. And of course, he is happy that he is being regularly updated by the happenings and the updates of the foundation itself.
We are able to see more people who are really not only business driven, but deep inside they want to make their businesses even more meaningful. They are finding meaning on giving impact to the lives of others. It ignites more our desire to do mission, to expand our mission. We are very excited to continue doing it and to be more serious about it.
It takes a way to really study them and learn about how these donors need to get motivated, get involved, so that the fatigue that is happening will turn into a transformation of partnership, love, generosity, and it will create a very wonderful family in the world of philanthropy.
So that's the support ecosystem we wanted to create, and I hope you value when you're part of the family. And the fourth and the last before I go is, what's then our paradigm shift? The new paradigm of collaboration within the field and strategic approach of those who are supporting its development to ensure its full efficiency and sustainability. By the way, I'd like to acknowledge that the video was actually made by Vincent Lim during our PDO directors meeting. In just a quick use of technology and his expertise, and he's a donor. Thank you, Vincent. The important goal is the new paradigm. I'd like to draw you to the development goals of the United Nations. There's 17 of it. And these goals are interconnected. And the goal is that it works the same for our ecosystem. There is universality, meaning it works for all. And there is integration. And at the same time, transformation. So if you look at the goal and how they communicate them, they didn't say anything but end poverty, end hunger. They really have an end in mind: ensure healthy lives, ensure inclusive and quality education. Don't just say scholarship. Achieve gender equality, ensure access to water, ensure access to affordable, sustainable, modern energy, promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth and employment for all, build resilient infrastructure, promote sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation, and reduce inequality, make cities inclusive, ensure sustainable consumption, take urgent action to combat climate change, conserve sustainably and use oceans and seas and marine resources, and sustainable manage forest and degradation, promote just, peaceful, and inclusive societies, and revitalize global partnerships. And what Spring Rain is doing is, if we work together in our advocacies, we might create our own sustainable goals in relation to what we can contribute to the United Nations. Isn't that amazing? Right? Isn't that amazing? If a donor feeds children all at the same time for each PDOs, we will be alleviating human poverty. We will provide education. There will be communion of different faith and culture. There will be environmental protection, good stewardship, job creation, peace, name them. That's the impact of what we do together. Take the challenge. Don't listen to those people who say you can't do it. God says you can. That's why you're called here. Would you believe that? It was nobody but you. I do. And this is our ecosystem. We're 72 PDOs all over the world, but we have 20 more. Actually, we're 96 on count. And the board says, we're spreading too thinly again, Glenda. And I said, well, let's do something and innovate. And see, because for me, every organization that comes into our door, I have no right to block. Just because I'm not ready. Therefore, I have to do something to be ready. To open the doors for them. Because they came to us for the mission to solve a problem. And collectively in the data, this is actually 270 million worth of funding accumulated in the ecosystem. And these are our advocacies. And these are our partners to begin with. And the biggest partner, the latest partner that we do have is AVPN, the Asian Venture Philanthropy Network, to emphasize that this is one strong ecosystem, we belong. And who led us to this? When Anne-Marie browsed through getting a speaker, we came across Dr. Rob John. And when Dr. Rob John says, come and explore being a member of AVPN, and I said, well, why not? And it led us there. So God is working because we open our gates to innovate. And this is what AVPN is.
Asia is a dynamic and diverse region with a deep history, rich culture, and beautiful landscape. In the past decade, the region has exploded with growth and prosperity. But with that progress comes a growing disparity between the rich and the poor. Population growth, lack of proper education and stable livelihoods, growing health concerns, and environmental challenges are serious issues in Asia, providing sharp contrast to the economic progress. To tackle these complex challenges, we need collaborative solutions that cross sectors and borders, inspire innovative ideas, and combine resources to create lasting impact. At AVPN, we are building a vibrant and high-impact philanthropy and social investment community that brings together a diverse group of funders and resource providers addressing these many social challenges across Asia. We are a platform, advocate, and capacity builder, enabling collaboration and knowledge sharing. Our wide-reaching membership includes foundations, impact funds, corporations, universities, and governments that are investing money, people, and knowledge into the social sector. AVPN members work throughout the entire Asia-Pacific region, funding projects that range from education, health, livelihoods, and the environment. They support women and children, people in poverty, the elderly, and the disabled. AVPN's convening platform is unique because it breaks down silos to empower all stakeholders. We create connections and identify synergies across sectors and borders to maximize the impact of our members. Our Knowledge Center provides frameworks and highlights best practice, from due diligence and capacity building to impact assessment. We inspire social investors to go beyond simply writing a check, to become more strategic, collaborative, and outcome-focused, ultimately improving the lives of millions across the region. AVPN is accelerating the growth of the philanthropy and social investment ecosystem in Asia.
And praise God, Spring Rain is already a member. Thanks to Dr. Rob John. So that AVPN member over there has nothing to do with me or anybody in my team because they are going to fund the advocacies of our charities. So it goes beyond us. And think about it. We are entering in the ecosystem. And where are you now in your development office? Don't drag too long. You might be missing something. And to end this, we are here because we care for you and we care for the ecosystem and we want donors to ultimately go to the charity. We're the bridge, we're the catalyst. It's not about us. If it's about us, this is not gonna grow. There's no room for greed. There's only room for love. There's only room for sharing. Because when you love, you don't take it all. When you have love, you give it. Bahala na wala ka, di ba? Yan ba yan? You buy the best because you want to love. I don't care if I don't have anything because I love. Sometimes kaya mabuwang ug malove ba? Sometimes crazy. You agree with me? You agree with me? So don't go crazy with love wrongly. And then I will leave you with this, but I challenge you really. I am so glad that such an ecosystem as beautiful as this is created. And however we would ignite it, we will do it together. We are gifted with people. Dr. Jasmina just came along, and Imran, and Dr. Rob John, Vincent, and all the people that came in, I believe, and people, Attorney Mia is here, Consuelo Foundation. These are some of the prayers that I've been praying for the longest time, and meeting so much members of the AVPN who will be visiting us sooner or later. I don't want you to be not ready. We're here because we're creating something. You're not attending an event that tomorrow you say, wow, it was nice in Malaysia, and that was just like those giving thing, and I will not have to do anything at all. When is the next conference? I attend again. It's, oh, it's nice in Thailand. It's, No, we're here because we want to see you, that when we see you again, Dr. Eugene will say, well, this is our school. Right, Doc? Yeah, this is where we are. Don't say, I'm still thinking. I'm not saying you're going to get us, in fairness, but get something done, whether or not from Spring Rain or in your own organization. That's the challenge. And this is my message for us to think about.
Now, some of the things that's going to happen when you look out and see what can I contribute to, what can I give, I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have a voice that's saying, it's just no use. It's out of control now. There will be a voice telling you that you'll be wasting your time and wasting your energy and wasting your effort. I say, don't listen to it. Listen to that still small voice that says, I can do something, and I ought to do it. We ought to do it. Disraeli said this. Nothing can resist the will of a people that will stake even their existence on the extent of that purpose for good. I strongly believe that all of us have some work to do, that each one of us showed up to do something, that each one of us showed up to contribute something to life, and that if we don't do it, it will not be done. Be it that you want to help and contribute to youth or do something for the homeless, whatever you want to do, if you get up in the morning out of a sense of ought-ness and decide that I am an opening for the universe, that life can work through and use me as a channel and as an instrument for change.
How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. You are ready and able to do beautiful things in this world. And after you walk through those doors today, you will only ever have two choices, love or fear. Choose love, and don't ever let fear turn you against your playful heart.
Begin to see yourself as an opening for the universe to move through, to work through, to make a difference in life. See yourself being used by life to improve the quality of life, to expand and to grow.
And with that, I leave you with this. It all boils down to leadership. Then it's about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that the impact lasts in your absence. Thank you very much.